Welcome to English Learning 101. This module will provide an overview of various funding sources for English learner programs. Please note that this module details the basics and is not comprehensive in its guidance. There are accompanying documents provided with this section that go further in depth. In this funding module, we will primarily explore non-English speaking program or NESP and Title III funding. We will explore the background of each, the purpose, and the requirements, as well as the uses. The Office of Civil Rights requires all schools to identify students who need language assistance, develop a program that has a reasonable chance of success, support it with the appropriate number of staff and resources, and evaluate its success. A school district must provide a core EL program required by law prior to utilizing Title I and Title III funds. This chart shows the succession of programs if an English learner was eligible for Title I, Title III, and migrant services. Title III funds must supplement and not supplant state and locally funded LAU requirements. Supplement versus supplant requirements ensure that services provided with federal funds are in addition to and do not replace or supplant services that students would otherwise receive. The Core EL program, or LAU, is required by federal law to be provided to all EL students whether or not they receive title funds. These English language development services are in addition to the core instruction. State and local funds are used to provide the Core EL program. Federal grants, including Title I and III, must be supplemental and cannot be used to provide the Core EL program. The Core EL program must be provided for all English learners and must be provided by qualified teachers trained in EL strategies. The Core EL program, per federal law, must be based on effective approaches and methodologies that demonstrate success in increasing English language proficiency, are reasonably calculated for success, and are regularly evaluated for effectiveness. The state funding non-English speaking program, NESP, was first approved by the Indiana General Assembly in 1999 in order to provide English language development instruction to K-12 English learners. NESP is a one-year annual grant awarded to public schools, including charters, based on their LEP student count. NESP sub-grantees must identify and meet performance indicators related to student learning, professional development, and parent involvement. Allocations for the current grant year are based on the previous year's EL student count from the Language Minority Data Collection, and there is no minimum number of students required to receive a sub-grant from the state. There are three specific goals for the NESP program. The first goal is based off of student performance. English learners will demonstrate growth in English language acquisition and in academic achievement. The second goal reflects the performance indicator of professional development. School corporations and charter schools will provide increased opportunities for EL-related professional development for instructional staff. The final goal is that of family engagement. School corporations and charter schools will provide additional support to parents of English learners. As NESP can cover the core EL program, it is important to be sure that funding is put towards the required English language development services. As far as personnel, NESP may be used in the following instances. For any teachers or paraprofessionals that provide the English language development services in order to meet the law requirements. This also includes any certified staff that administer the WIDA access for ELs or placement exams, WE after WIDA screener, as well as substitutes to cover classrooms of teachers that are administering these ELP exams. NESP funding may also be used for translators as well as parent or school liaisons. The core instructional materials for the English Language Development Program also fall under allowable funding for NESP. Examples of these would be English language development textbooks, curriculum, and resources, native language support resources, bilingual dictionaries, computer hardware for English learners, as well as English language development software. NESP funds may also be used for professional development. Items related to professional development are any consultant fees, EL professional development books, costs for workshops and conferences, any stipends for teacher for EL professional development, and any costs related to the implementation of WIDA. Finally, NESP funds may be used for family involvement development. This can include workshops for EL parents, EL family nights, and any resources meant for parents of English learners. While the NESP state grant is used along with your local funds to provide the LAU requirements to English learners, there are a few items that NESP funds cannot support. NESP cannot be used for any administrative cost associated with managing the grant, any indirect cost, or for non-EL students. NESP funds also are unable to be used for any food or beverage. NESP funds can only be used to support instruction for students that have been identified as English learners. We are now moving on from NESP to the Title III grant. Title III seeks to ensure that English learners attain English proficiency, develop high levels of academic attainment in English, and meet the same challenging state academic content and student academic achievement standards as all children are expected to meet. Title III is the federal funding source for English learners that is designed to supplement core EL programs funded by state and local dollars. Title III consists of a 27-month grant cycle with new allocations awarded each school year. Federal law requires that a Title III sub-grantee be eligible for a minimum of $10,000 in funding. If an LEA is eligible for less than $10,000, then it may apply within a consortium. Public schools are required to consult with non-public schools in their geographic boundaries for Title III as well. Title III may be used for providing professional development of sufficient intensity and duration to improve teachers' abilities to understand and use curricula, assessment, and instructional strategies for English learners. Title III funding may be used to provide supplemental activities to improve the core academic achievement of English learners. Title III may be used in order to provide community participation programs, family literacy services, and parent outreach and training activities for English learners and their families. It also may be used to acquire educational materials for English learners and instructional materials for teachers to develop the English language proficiency for English learners. Title III funds may be used for the acquisition of technology and software to carry out the activities consistent with the other authorized activities of English learners. Finally, Title III funds may be used for up to 2% of administrative expenses to carry out this grant. Title III funding may not be used to carry out the core EL program or LAU. As far as general activities, Title III funding may not be used to pay for activities without a specific focus on developing English proficiency. If translation is being used for activities to ensure regular school communication in an understandable format or language, these translation services must be paid for with local and state funds, not Title III. Time and effort of administering federal and state mandated assessments must be paid with local and state funds, not Title III. Licensed and trained staff members are responsible for delivering core EL services. Federally funded, non-certified paraprofessionals must be under the direct supervision of a licensed teacher. If this is not the case, Title III funds may not be used. Any services, materials, activities, equipment, and technology that is paid for from Title III must also benefit English learners. Items that will benefit all students must be paid for with local and state funding. It is also worth mentioning that any activities required by other laws may not be funded by Title III. It is important to understand the phrase, supplement, not supplant. This ensures that services provided with federal funds are in addition to and not in place of the core EL program. State and local funds must be used to provide the activities mandated by federal law. The use of federal funds to pay for the core instructional EL program would be supplanting and not allowable. To further understand supplement, not supplant, the 3-question test is useful. First, is it required by local, state, or federal law? Second, were state or local funds previously used to pay for this? And third, is this being purchased from other funds for non-EL students and/or teachers? If the answer to any of these questions happens to be yes, then the funds are being supplanted. In order to better understand the difference between NESP and Title III, let's look at some specific examples. NESP, Title III, or both. A consultant will be delivering a professional development session that relates to English learners in an LEA. In order to pay these fees, would the LEA use NESP funding or Title III funding? The answer here could be Title III or NESP. NESP, Title III, or both. For the next example, an LEA has to pay for a substitute for a teacher who is administering the WIDA access testing. Which funding would be used for this? The answer would be NESP. This is a core requirement of the EL program. Therefore, Title III funds may not be used and NESP would be appropriate. NESP, Title III, or both. The next slide brings up the example of salary for an EL teacher. If this EL teacher is providing the core English language development, then NESP, not Title III, must be used. NESP, Title III, or both. The final scenario is that of laptops for English learners in order to use a language software development program. If this is a supplemental program, then Title III can be used, but only if the program in question is something that the district would not purchase unless it had received the Title III funding. We hope you find this EL101 module on funding for English learners useful. Please refer to the documents accompanying this module for additional information and guidance. In order to find application materials for either grant, you can visit www.doe.in.gov/ELME/federal-and-state-grant-programs. As always, if you have any questions, please contact a member of our English Learner team at the Indiana Department of Education. Thank you.